So as what I've mentioned, I'll be discussing, or we're going to work on the last part of lesson 2, which is rights of children. Why we need to study the rights of children as educator, for us to have the basis, or for us to have an idea on the background of our children or of our learners. Now, child rights are fundamental freedoms and the inherent right of all human beings below the age of 18. This right applies, of course, to all children, irrespective of the background, race, color, parents, creed, and gender. Children are innocent and full of hope. Children are trustworthy, naive, and hopeful. Their childhood should be filled with joy and love. Some children, life is blissful because they live with joy. But for many children, the reality of childhood is altogether different. Children have the same right as adults in the society. Children are neither the property of their parents. They are human beings and are the object of their own rights. Khalil Gibran said in one of his novel, The Prophet, that your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And true they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your words, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwells in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. So that's according to Khalil Gibran, again in his novel titled The Prophet. So nobody owns their children. Okay. Down memory lane, children have been abused and exploited. So you have seen that in a lot of news articles, even uh, in the internet. So a lot of exploitation is happening to children. They suffered, among other things, poverty and homelessness and high infant mortality, deficient healthcare, and limited opportunities for basic education. Now, childhood should be preserved, as they should not be made to suffer through severe and intensely painful conditions. Children have the right to survive, of course, develop, be protected, and participate in decisions that impact their lives. Now, guys, there are 4 basic rights a child should not be deprived of, as provided in 1989 by the UN, United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child. The League of the Nations Declaration articulates that all people owe children the right to means for their development, special help in times of need, priority of relief, economic freedom, and protection from exploitation, and an upbringing that instills social consciousness and duty. Now, if you notice in some of the um, in Philippine constitutions, there are a lot of there are a lot of, how do you call this? There are a lot of principles being discussed just to secure the safety, and prevent the children from exploitation by Geneva and then drafted by Jeb. The declaration articulates that all people owe children the right to, as what I mentioned, development, social help in times of need, priority of relief, economic freedom, and protection from exploitation. Now, this charter is built on the principle that all children are born with fundamental freedoms and all human beings have some inherent rights. Now, guys, the four basic rights that I was mentioning to child as entrenched in the declaration are survival, development, protection, and participation, which are narrowed down in the 12 rights of children that I'm going to discuss with you. Firstly, every child is endowed with dignity and worth as a human being from the moment of his conception, as generally accepted in medical parlance, and has therefore the right to be born well. Firstly, the child or the young people are entitled to a right to survival, right to life, nutrition, name, and nationality. So it's the responsibility of the parents to make sure they can provide a safe environment for their unborn child. That's why there's this what we call family planning. This includes proper medical attention and care from conception, birth, and throughout childhood years in a newborn services unit or pediatric center. Now, number two, every child has the right to a wholesome family life that will provide him with love, care, and understanding, guidance and counseling, moral and material security. So the child's first learning environment and teachers are their home and family. So they're entitled to be a part of a loving family that will instill ethical values and morals in them. Number three, every child has the right to a well-rounded development of his personality to the end that he may become a happy, useful, and active member of society. The gifted child shall be given opportunity and encouragement to develop his special talents. The emotionally disturbed or socially maladjusted child shall be treated with sympathy and understanding and shall be entitled to treatment and competent care. The physically or mentally handicapped child shall be given the treatment, education, and care required of his particular condition. So meaning every child has the right to be raised well and become contributing members of society. By raising them in a safe and loving environment, parents and guardians can shape the personalities of their young to be useful and contributing members of their respective communities when they grow older. So that's why even the government prioritize the needs of children, especially with those of special care and attention. And for your information, there are government schools that only cater to gifted children, to children which are emotionally disturbed. So in achievement or in compliance with number three, right of children. Number four, every child has the right to a balanced diet, adequate clothing, sufficient shelter, proper medical attention, and all the basic physical requirements of a healthy and vigorous life. So children should have the right to live, be safe, and have a say and in how their lives are formed. Children nutrition should be of utmost concern to the government. Now, the children should be assured of adequate safety, they should also be assured of adequate nutrition and quality healthcare services. In addition, guys, the right to development, that is right to education, innovation, care. So every child has the right to education and innovation, which will give him or her insight into world and make the child explore his or her full potential. Now, of course, education is virtually what we can use to change the world. Thus, if children are given these rights, they're being given the mandate to change the world in the future, and also in the smallest possible way they can in this present time. So such right, if deprived of children, will therefore to be considered as illegal and unconstitutional. So aside from learning, the children should also be given positive education of tolerance, understanding, perseverance, and friendship among all nations, which is free from racial discrimination and will, as a result, contribute to maintenance of peace in the world. Now, guys, if the children are given the right to education and innovation are instilled with positive orientation and sensitization at this early stage of their life, then they will be veritable tool for national world development as well as inclusion in the nearest future. So, as what I've mentioned also, the children have the right to protection that is right from exploitation, abuse, torture, or any form of intimidation. So this right oversees that all children are nurtured, protected, and guided from harmful influences, abuse, and exploitation in any form. So this is the reason why their needs are to be provided by their parents and families, and not subjecting them to work or having them face any kind of physical or mental abuse. So they're also to be shielded by their parents and the state from any external factors that may hamper their life. So if you watch news that children being abused by their parents, so the government act on it by turning over their children to an institution that takes care of children who are being exploited or abused. Okay? So number 5, every child has the right to be brought up in an atmosphere of morality and rectitude for the enrichment and the strengthening of his character. So this right goes beyond the basic needs and focuses more on atmosphere of the place they will be raised in. So a child's needs must always be attended to, so they feel the support of people around them, so which in turn will build and strengthen their character in adulthood. And then we have 6 right. Every child has the right to an education commensurate with his abilities and to development of his skills for the improvement of his capacity for service to himself and his fellow men. So, moreover, children have the right to engage in wholesome recreational activities whenever they wish and not be exploited for events that are deemed only for adults to do. For example, intensive manual labor. So that's why children are discouraged to work. So they are expected to study and be protected from any harm and be guided by their parents. Seventh right, every child has the right to full opportunities for safe and wholesome recreation and activities, individual as well as social, for the wholesome use of his leisure hours. So children should be surrounded by safe communities that inspire them to give back when they are older. So this means staying away from bad influences and situations that can cause harm to their health. For number 8, right, every child has the right to protection against exploitation, improper influences, hazards, and other conditions or circumstances prejudicial to his physical, mental, and emotional, social, and moral development. So that's why if you're going to go back with the Philippine institution, so mostly there they consider or they're considering the right of the children to be observed and not to be violated by anyone else. So what they're doing is they protect the children against exploitation, improper influences, and in this matter, the guidance or the full guidance of the parents are needed in order to achieve the eighth right. Now, every child has the right to live in a community and a society that can offer him an environment free from pernicious influences and conducive to the 18 promotion of his health and the cultivation of his desirable traits and attitude. Now, every child has the right, of course, to live in a productive environment. Children should be surrounded by safe communities that inspires them to give back when they're older. So this means staying away from bad influences and situations that can cause harm to their health. Number 10, every child has the right to the care, assistance, and protection of the state or government, particularly when his parents or guardians fail or are unable to provide him with his fundamental needs for growth, development, and improvement. Thus, every child has the right to be cared for in the absence of their parent or guardian. Now, if the parent or guardian fails to fulfill their role, the government shall assume custody and care for the child, providing them with their fundamental needs for growth and development. 11th, so every child has the right to an efficient and honest government that will deepen his faith in democracy, inspire him with the morality of the constituted authorities, both in their public and private lives. So, meaning every child has the right to good governance. So, children also have the right to be born under the presence of good governance that can inspire them to become a helpful and active citizen. So this doesn't necessarily mean they have to get involved with politics, but rather have an interest in being involved in political discussions for the betterment of country. And number 12, every child has the right to grow up as a free individual in an atmosphere of peace, understanding, tolerance, and universal brotherhood, and with the determination to contribute his share in the building of a better world. So every child has the right to freedom and peace. So last but not the least, every child is entitled to do whatever they want in their lives, so long as it contributes to the peace and betterment of the communities they're part of. Now, parents, guardians, and all adults should be vigilant in protecting and advocating for the rights of children. While these rights serve as a reminder for everyone to ensure that they are creating a better world for young Filipinos to live in the future. So the battle must not stop at the end of any particular period. So let's continue to be, of course, as future teacher, great examples to kids and be conscious of our actions in making our children or in making our classroom a safe environment for them to take care of and pass on to future generations. So the reason why we have to consider or we have to discuss rights of children basically for us to protect our children, our learner from any of the harms, hazards mentioned as we discuss each right of children. No, so as future teachers, we are also considered as second parents who will help our children protect them from any harm as what I mentioned